So you think I got it wrong when I listed 10 countries that will collapse in the next couple years. I got a lot of comments and emails on this subject telling me I was wrong. And that's great, but I would like to point out that I've already got one right. Syria's dictator fled the country the day after I uploaded the video. Seeing that I said within the next 2 years and one already happened, I'd say I'm off to a good start. But these videos are here for us to learn, discuss, learn some more, and maybe have a few laughs. Some people got all worked up over my opinion. There's no need to get worked up. Share your thoughts and we all learn together. So I thought we'd do a second video of the 10 countries you guys thought should be on the list. And that's what we have today. The 10 countries that are heading towards a collapse according to you. Got it? Get it? Good. Number 10. What you think I really got wrong. So 2 countries were brought up the most that you felt I had completely wrong. That's El Salvador and Argentina. Let's start with El Salvador. Now, I said El Salvador was going to collapse because of the Bitcoin thing. Now, their president right now is doing great things. They're really putting a dent in the gang problem that they've had since forever. And the economy is doing all right, but it's sort of based around Bitcoin. If you follow the cryptocurrency market, you know that there are wild fluctuations in the value of these different cryptos. Bitcoin is doing excellent right now. All it takes is a major player like the United States, China, or some other big country to say, no, we're not doing Bitcoin, we're not doing cryptocurrency, it's actually against the law. There was talks about that a couple years ago when it came to crypto from the United States. The volatility and situations like that is what makes me think El Salvador could be heading full speed at a cliff. Now, I hope not, honestly. I think El Salvador is a beautiful country that has had its fair share of rough times. Now, a lot of you that have probably visited El Salvador think there's no way that this country could be in good shape. You know, it's a third world country, whether you like it or not. So if you're trying to compare it to, I don't know, a European country, the United States, Canada, yeah, it looks a little rough around the edges, but it does have some great parts. It's been many years since I've been there, but I love the people. But like I said, the real chances of Bitcoin taking a nosedive are there. And if that does happen, they'll have less money for police, they'll have less money for the military, and that means the gangs will take control again. Crypto crash is their biggest enemy right now. The second one that everyone feels I got wrong, or a lot of people did, was Argentina. You know, land of the tango and the economic collapse every other Tuesday? Life in Argentina is like a roller coaster where currency loses value faster than you can say asado. Their new president has met a lot of the problems that they had, but things are going up. Inflation is on the rise. As the cost of food and basic products increases, around 53% of Argentinians now live in poverty, up from around 42% in 2023. That's the highest level in 30 years. Another 15% of the population is in extreme poverty. Now, part of the reason that a lot of people still think Argentina is doing great is because they're probably not living in poverty. And their new president, who's only been in office about a year, actually December 10th, 2023 is when he assumed office, Milei, he's very popular. He's making some changes, some hard changes. Stopped all public works to save money, laid off tons of government workers, which I'm sure suck for them, but saved the country money. These cost-cutting measures, I believe, are going to be his downfall at the same time working to help Argentina. They are. There's no way around it. He's saving a ton of money doing the things he's doing, but I think in the end, it's going to come back and bite him. And this is a country that lately has been turning over presidents at a pretty good pace. Since 2019, they've had 3 presidents. So that's why I say El Salvador and Argentina are going to collapse. Now, I could be wrong. These are my opinions off what I see. Like all of you listening right now, I'm just an outside observer with my own opinions. All right, let's get to the ones that you guys suggested are going to collapse. Number 9, Turkey. I was kind of on the fence with adding Turkey to the original video. Then you look at Turkey and figure out they're doing Erdonomics, which is their leader, Erdogan, whatever his name is. It's a groundbreaking economic theory where lowering interest rates apparently curbs inflation. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. The lira's value is dropping faster than your Wi-Fi connection during the Tyson Paul fight on Netflix. Add in a housing bubble, political purges, and a penchant for meddling in neighbors' affairs like the fall in Syria, and you've got a country teetering on the brink. Earthquakes don't help either, especially when buildings are constructed with more optimism than quality control. Yet somehow, Turkey remains a tourist magnet. I find that very strange. Turkey's history is probably what brings most tourists to the country. And if you know about this country's history, you know it's hard to beat. But quite a few people pick Turkey. This is in no particular order, by the way. Number 8, Ukraine. War-torn and war down. Ukraine, once known for its fertile lands, now famous for enduring an unprovoked invasion. Daily life, it's essentially a dystopian war movie. Except the explosions are real and no one yells cut. Millions have fled, while those who remain endure constant shelling and energy shortages. Ukraine's potential collapse, which I already think it's there, is tied to the war dragging on indefinitely. If the global community loses interest or stops sending aid, it could spell disaster. And that's their biggest problem. I mean, the attention on something like that falls by the wayside pretty quick. Unless you're living it, you forget about it quick. Take Asheville, North Carolina right now. That place was destroyed by a hurricane. Most of you probably haven't thought about it in weeks, but the people living it, they know about it, and they think about it every minute of the day. And I really feel bad for them. Hopefully it'll get back on its feet before long. Now, this one didn't make the last list, like I said, because I felt Ukraine's pretty much already collapsed. Sure, the president is still the president, but I think he slipped into the general role a while back. But hey, at least their sunflowers still bloom, right? Number 7, China, the empire of cracks. China is starting to look a little shaky these days. China might look stable on the surface, but underneath, it's all cracks. The economy is slowing down and the housing market is imploding. And protests, yes, protests, are bubbling up. And if you remember Tiananmen Square, protests in China usually don't go like the protesters want them to. But when life is so hard you decide to take on the Communist Party of China, you know things are pretty bad. China's regime's potential collapse hinges on the over-reliance of control. Once the people decide they've had enough, but hey, at least the surveillance state gets some pretty good footage, right? Now, I think China's in that too big to fail type situation. There is so much manufacturing going on there. So many countries rely on China's manufacturing and all the different things they do that I think they will get propped up even if there's a total collapse. So that's why I didn't put it on there, but I do see where the potential is, and I do see where a lot of you are coming from on this one. Number 6, Nigeria. Nigeria is a paradox. Africa's largest economy, but also a hotbed of instability. Between Boko Haram, banditry, and oil theft, the daily life is a mix of opportunities and outright danger. Oh, and the power grid? It's about as reliable as a political promise. So why the instability? Corruption, tribal conflicts, and the reliance on oil revenues make a volatile mix. If things don't change, Nigeria risks becoming the poster child for unrealized potential. Nigeria does have a lot of potential, but it has always been plagued by really bad leaders and tribal infighting. A lot of people brought this up and they were saying that the corruption and the crime is spiking in Nigeria. Now, the thing is, they're sitting on a lot of lithium, but they've run into problems with it. The international community is coming down on them because they've got a bunch of kids working in these mines. Now, in a lot of places, you can just pick it up off the ground, but a lot of people are digging into the ground to get more lithium. You know, they don't have respirators and all that other stuff, and there's collapses all the time that are going reported. So it's becoming a problem, and as the international community sees this, they're going to start putting pressure on them to change, and it's going to disrupt the whole system they've got in play for good reason. I mean, kids should not be working in mines, no matter what their financial situation is. If the country pulls it together and works the lithium mines the way they should and don't take all the money before the locals get it, they actually might be able to put these kids in school and feed them properly. Number 5, the United States. Wait, what? Yes, the land of the free and the home of the brave is on the list because you guys decided it should be there. Political polarization, income inequality, and a penchant for denying obvious problems make the U.S. a ticking time bomb. Daily life ranges from living your best Instagram-worthy life to wondering if you'll need a GoFundMe for your next ER visit. Why the collapse? Partisan gridlock in the United States Congress and Senate and all that stuff. We have declining trust in our institutions and a society that feels more divided than a middle school cafeteria. Add climate problems, gun violence, and economic uncertainty, and you've got a recipe for chaos with a side of existential dread. Now, my personal opinion, I think much like China, that we'll never drop too low because we're too big to fail. When you have so many people depending on something to make their living, so many extremely powerful and rich people, levers get pulled to keep things afloat. But a lot of you said the United States should be on this list, so here it is at number 5. Number 4, South Africa. Now, this is another one a lot of people brought up. Now, I know there's some problems in South Africa, but I don't think it's to the point that they'll collapse. I guarantee there'll be a change in leadership, but I don't think the country is going to collapse. South Africa's got it all. Spectacular landscapes, a rich history, and rolling blackouts that'll make you think that you're camping indoors. Now, if you don't know, the Electric Supply Commission started having problems way back in 2007, and it's ongoing. Now, according to Eskom and government officials, the solution requires the construction of additional power plants and generators. This does not explain the fact that, according to Eskom's own figures, its available generation capacity has dropped from 37 gigawatts in 1994 to less than 28 in 2024, in spite of 2 major power stations having been added to the grid during this period. They also can't explain why their financial position has deteriorated. Basically, it breaks down to corruption and mismanagement. A lot of people blame it on sabotage and the neglect of Eskom's staff. Now, the good news is they're in a significant period of reliable power supply right now that started in March of 2024. And by July of 2024, the energy generation capacity was at its highest in 6 years. So that's good news. But Eskom turned load shedding into a national pastime. And at this point, candlelight dinners are less of a romantic option and more of a necessity when things are bad. Like I said, things are good right now. That's why I didn't put them on the list. They do have some water issues also. They're running out of water. People are thirsty. On top of all that, economic inequality is so stark that you need a 4x4 to navigate the gap between rich and poor. Corruption? Oh, it's practically a national sport. And of course, infrastructure crumbles faster than your hopes of owning property here. They've got crime problems and everything else. So there is a lot of reasons it can be on here, but a lot of countries have these problems. Number 3, Pakistan. Pakistan's economy is the financial equivalent of a soap opera, constantly borrowing money from the IMF, only to promise reform they never implement. Their money, let's just say monopoly money, might hold a better value. The political instability is a given. The prime ministers are ousted faster than you could say vote of no confidence. Meanwhile, the climate change is wreaking havoc, with floods turning entire regions into impromptu water parks. But hey, at least they got cricket, right? Now, I didn't include this one on here, and I think it was a misstep on my side. I didn't know enough about it, but as I started researching this one, well, yeah, they do have a potential to collapse in the near future. Number 2, North Korea. Yeah, we don't know what's going on in that country because they're so closed off. But what we do know is the leader rules with an iron fist, and there's a lot of paranoia. Kim Jong-un's regime spends more on missiles than feeding its own people, and propaganda is so thick you could cut it with a knife. They say their economy is in shambles, with sanctions biting harder than a North Korean winter. Black markets thrive, and basic freedoms are non-existent. Yet the government insists that they're a paradise, proving that denial is an art form. On the bright side, they've mastered the art of staying in the headlines. Unfortunately, it's all they've ever mastered, really. Interesting fact about them. This guy went to North Korea years ago, and I saw a YouTube video on it, and he got a tour. And the things the tour guides and that they feed these people, as far as propaganda go, was ridiculous. It was crazy stuff like their dear leader was the most educated man in the world. He doesn't use the bathroom because he spends so much of his energy working for the North Korean people. They tell them that he has never missed a shot with any rifle, pistol, or machine gun that he has picked up. And of course, they tell everyone in the country that if it wasn't for the regime, the Americans would come in and enslave all of them. So who knows with them? I think really just about anything we know about them is half a guess. I do know that they've had defectors that say it is just horrible over there and everyone's starving. All right, before we get to number 1, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. And, tell us what you thought about this video. Were the viewers right with the suggestions they had? Do you think one shouldn't have been put on this list or one should have been put on this list? Let us know in the comment section below. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Haiti. Yeah, this one didn't go on my first list because, in my opinion, Haiti collapsed years ago. Haiti's got all the ingredients for a failed state: political chaos, natural disasters, and an economy that is more unpredictable than the Caribbean weather. The assassination of the president in 2021 set off a domino effect of instability, leaving the country in a perpetual state of crisis. The infrastructure is nearly non-existent, with roads that look like they've been bombed, and a power grid that seems to operate on hope and duct tape. Kidnappings have become so common, they're practically a cottage industry. Yeah, they're a mess, but like I said, I didn't add them on there because I consider them already a collapsed state, but we'll see if it gets any worse. Alright, that's today's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy one of the two videos being suggested right now. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.